Hey, what's up, guys? Mike C Squared here. Before we start this episode, I have to tell you about the boo-boo that I made. So, we recorded a separate segment before we did the full episode this week, and everything went fine. We had a guest on. He was really great. Had all the knobs and buttons turned and pushed. Everything was all good. Then, we went to record the rest of the full episode later that day. And someone, me, forgot to make sure that our individual microphones were recording, and the entire episode ended up being recorded on the webcam instead of our individual mics. So, Amber's going to sound a little further away than normal, and I'm sorry. I promise it won't happen again. Next week we'll be back in, crisp, polished state, but for this week, you're just gonna have to deal. I'm sorry, it won't happen again. I promise. Stupid. Okay, on with the show.
What's up, guys? On this week's show,
R.I.P. John Schnepp.
Comic-Con highlights.
And James Gunn is a pedophile?
With special guest
Chris Sanchez of Mad Cave Studios.
All that and more on this episode
of One Giant Leap for Geeks.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for
Geeks. Welcome to another episode of OGLFG, where we talk about movies, video games, and all things in geek culture. I'm your host, Mike C Squared. With me is my better half, Amber.
Hey guys.
So guess what I did, Amber?
What did you do?
While you were away.
Away at work?
It just sounds so weird. It's like, what did you do? I talked to somebody.
Don't you do that every day?
Yeah, but you weren't around. I cheated on you with
Yeah, that went downhill fast.
Yeah, it really did. Yeah. There was a joke somewhere in there, but yeah. No, I had a conversation with somebody. Really nice guy, actually. Chris Sanchez. He is a creative marketing director at Mad Cave Studios, and he came onto our show and we talked about some comic books, and it was awesome.
Well, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Look forward to hearing that.
And you missed it.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I had to work.
Yeah, but it's all good, though. You guys get to listen to it now. One Giant Leap for Geeks proudly presents Talking With. This week we have a special guest, Chris Sanchez, Communication and Digital Manager at Mad Cave Studios, who was gracious enough to join us today. We're glad to have you on the show, Chris. Go ahead and tell the people a bit about yourself.
Well, it's good to be here, number one. But yeah, a little about me. Chris Sanchez, digital media communications. Basically, what I do at Mad Cave, or first of all, I should explain to you what Mad Cave is. Mad Cave is an independent comic book publisher, and just this year we have gotten into Diamond, which means our books are available nationwide and beyond, actually. So comic retailers can order our books basically to sell at their shops. And what I do is I market the books on social media. I do social media ads, and I just translate the Mad Cave message of all of our titles, how to shop them and make them accessible for retailers, and how to show retailers that we are for pushing direct market sales, and for making sure retailers know that and fans know that our books are out there, and that and we help out the retailer and the fans as much as possible. It's hard to support indie stuff because some indie stuff is you don't really get that reputation until over time. Mm-hmm. So as a new company, we want to build that reputation, and we want to make it so that retailers can trust us to put out quality projects, as well as putting them out on time and on schedule. because that's one of the most important things about comic publishing.
Okay. Well, before we get into it, we need to place you into some kind of box, so to speak. As you know, this is the internet, and the internet is, comprised of zeros and ones, so everything is binary, so you're either this thing or that thing. So we're going to figure out which of these you are.
Got it. I'm all about boxes.
All right, sweet. Okay, first one, gore or jump scares?
Gore, totally gore.
Okay. I'm a gore fan myself. I'm not totally against jump scares, but I blood and guts is more my thing.
Blood and guts is where it's at. Yeah, jump scare. I like the stuff that haunts you the next day. Jump scares really don't haunt me the next day.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Some of that gore stuff, you're just like, ooh.
You want some of that shit that'll keep you up for nights on end. I got you.
All about it.
Okay. All right. So next one, paperback or hardcover?
Oh, hardcover. I almost exclusively do it hardcover because I like my shelf to look very pretty.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm more hardcover guy. I like if a series doesn't come out on hardcover, I'll get the trades. Mm-hmm. But if there's a hardcover, I usually get that.
Okay. All right. So FPS or RPG?
For me personally, RPG. I love my FPS, especially with just friends fucking around. But RPGs they're close to my heart.
Gotcha. Okay. And then final one: Star Trek or Star Wars?
Star Trek.
Whoa! That is blasphemy, sir. You know that,
right? I'm a science geek, so I like when stuff is hard, as hard sci-fi as it gets. I love the characters in the world and the expansiveness of Star Wars, but for me, I would Star Trek.
Hey, that's fair. I honestly grew up more so with Star Trek than I ever did Star Wars. I was an 80s baby, so, by the time I even started even knowing what Star Wars was, it was kind of already dated, so it was hard for me to ever get on the original trilogy. I mean, I do enjoy Star Wars, but Star Trek was a staple of my childhood into my early adulthood for years. There was never a time Star Trek was not on TV. Mm-hmm. So it was you couldn't miss it.
Yeah, and the same thing. I have friends that haven't. When they go back and watch the original trilogy, you're just like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "That's really, you don't like this? This is great." But it is dated to a sense, even though it's dated because it influences so much. Mm-hmm. And it permeates every storytelling at this point.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's so many pieces of it everywhere that you feel like you've already seen it even before you've seen it.
Yeah. Han's character is 30 different other characters that came after him.
Oh yeah.
So when they go back, it's like, oh yeah, this is just so and so. It's like, no, Han's. That's Han.
That's the original OG.
Yeah. And then. So yeah, I like both, but for me, Star Trek.
Okay.
Hard sci-fi guy.
Hey, that's fair, man. I won't throw tomatoes at you for it. All right.
At least.
At least I won't.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm the comment section though. We'll see.
That's the comment section. You gotta.
I was gonna say that's kind of just how it goes.
Yeah.
But okay, so first official question now. Now we got to get serious. All right. So, what is your favorite thing about being an indie publisher?
My favorite thing is how connected we are with our fans and how easy it is to get that fan reaction, mm-hmm. And build those relationships. Because comics is still. It's a very huge industry, but it's also kind of small in its own little way.
Oh, yeah.
how everyone knows everyone, and being an indie comic publisher is even smaller, so that fan base is still connecting and still growing, and you still get these human interactions that I don't think you would get with like a big two. If I was talking to people like who were big two fans, if I worked for them, and then it would just be like, yeah, I don't think I would have the constant genuine interactions with people that I feel as an indie publisher you do get.
Okay. So then you've already kind of talked a bit about what Mad Cave is. Let's talk about, to start off with, let's begin. Tell me about the story of Battle Cats, because this is like your flagship title, right?
Yeah. It's our first title that we released with this Diamond Publishing, and what Battle Cats is a fantasy adventure story, and sort of a cross between Thundercats with little Game of Thrones mixed in there. With we've gotten some Magic the Gathering vibes because it's so much of like an expansive world of this all original, like it's called Valderia, and this huge epic like fantasy just wonderland that these characters inhabit and go on quests for. Their Battle Cats are this elite, almost force for the king of Valderia that he just sends out to slay monsters and do the bidding and protect the realm, basically.
Now, not to cut you off as well, too, but it's funny. I was actually talking to a friend, and I was talking to him about doing this interview with you and how, some of the things that I was going to talk to you about, and I was trying to explain to him Battle Cats, and almost literally verbatim, what you described Battle Cats as is what I told him. I'm like, think Thundercats and like Game of Thrones and like a tabletop RPG kind of thrown in there.
Yeah, that's what they have for everybody. A huge D&D influence, that are just, it's close to me because I'm huge into D&D. I'm like the resident D&D guy in the office, so it's like, oh, we need to do something. This is so cool.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and the Battle Cats are more like a, like you said, they're almost kind of like, King Arthur's Knights, where they're his like special task force to go off and do, whatever mission that the regular army maybe not be suitable for.
Yeah, these very specialized quests that these warriors go out and face. And King Arthur's another, like when I actually talked to Mark London, the creator of it, that's like the biggest influence to him is King Arthur, and just this and that legend folklore about it. That's like his main influence when he writes Battle Cats.
Oh yeah. I definitely picked up on that through reading through the story, because there was a lot of, and not to give away too much, but there's a lot of kind of intrigue and like political stuff and like betrayals and secrets and stuff, and I was just like, oh, okay, like I like what I'm seeing here.
Yeah, and that's from the get-go. We didn't want to just be like a fantasy hack and slash. We wanted that intrigue and that those politics and that sense that something is always tense. And these conversations that these characters are having, that something can always go wrong. That's something that we want to have in this book and want to weave into the story as much as possible.
Okay. So I've read through the first volume of Battle Cats, and it ends on a cliffhanger. Can you talk about what we can expect going forward at all?
Well, going forward, the big thing, issue 5, the last issue of that volume has an artist change, and that is we're going to stick with that artist, Michael Camillo. He's going to be our series artist going forward, so it's good. As you saw from issue 5, it is gorgeously rendered, beautiful detail. So that's a big shift. And then going forward, we're going to go more into character dynamics, how these characters work with each other, more into the backstory of how the Battle Cat, at least this group of Battle Cats, has formed, and also why. Also dealing with and also in issue 5, we reveal like that the big bads are coming, and that there's plans set in motion, and the next volume deals heavily with how that plan comes together and how it faces, how it comes to the doors, basically, of our heroes.
Okay. Now, issue 5, is that the one where we get some of the backstory of the, I guess, more of the world building stuff with like the Lion God and things like that, or is that 4?
That's 4. The 4 was it's sort of our legend lore, I guess, issue of our Battle Cats. More of just building up, because before we even wrote a script for issue 1, we wanted this world to be as living as possible.
Okay.
So we do have a whole timeline built, a whole structure of how this world works with the different regions of this world. And issue 4 was our way of saying, this isn't just a stock fantasy world. This is something that this is something wholly original, and that we put a lot of time and effort into. And
for sure.
And we feel that issue gives insight into how these people, or how this race of people works. And how these different clans of people come together, and how the king is where he is, and why he makes these decisions. I feel like that, or we feel that, like, that issue brings that out in a clear way.
Yeah, I really appreciated the taking a moment to stop and kind of enriching the story more with more background and giving more clear motivations for why characters make some of the decisions that they make, going forward from that. Like, I really appreciated, taking a pause in between the story and going like, okay, we're going to take a minute to flesh these characters in this world out a bit more, and then keep proceeding. And then where it ends in issue 5, and we're at the end of the volume, is a really good cliffhanger. And I have a lot of questions going forward, but I won't pose them here because I don't want to ruin it for anyone. And I'm sure they would probably have you killed if you told me anything. So
they are ruthless over at Matt Cave. You don't even know.
Okay, so moving on, there is another series called Midnight Task Force that Math Cave publishes. Talk about that if you would.
Yeah, Midnight is our second title. The first issue just came out 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago, July 11th. So the first issue just hit comic stores. The second issue on the way in 2 weeks now. Yeah, August 8th. And what Midnight Task Force is this cyberpunk, twisty detective story about Aiden McCormick, who's this sort of disillusioned detective who, while being brilliant in his own mind, has a little bit of problem with schizophrenia. By a little bit, I mean it consumes most of his life. And so and how his new case is this grisly serial killer that is terrorizing the city, and he only has 72 hours to break the case, basically, or else a lot of stuff goes down. Yeah.
Now with that one, I'm curious as to, was there any, I guess, what kind of influences would you say had on this particular type of story? Because I don't know if you're familiar with this or if you're an anime fan, but I got vibes of Death Note in this.
That's interesting. I'm a huge anime and manga fan. So I know what you're talking about, and that's totally in there. Just like this sort of calculated.
Yeah.
It's very
especially because how he and to try and be as vague as possible. There's a moment in the story where he confronts someone who he suspects of doing a crime, and it's almost instantaneous from the moment that he meets him, and just like the setting that it's in, it's like a press conference and everything else. It gave me vibes of Death Note in that he reminds me kind of L, the detective character in that story.
Yeah,
not quite as quirky, but just kind of
not quite.
His intellect and just how he kind of picks things apart.
Yeah, he has a little bit more social skills than that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Not by much though. Not by much.
Honestly, not by a lot. But that's that's not a direct influence, but that's totally that kind of solitary detective.
And I mean that could be, Sherlock Holmes or and you could take your pick. There's a lot of archetype, that you could draw from that. But that's like one of the first things. I think it was kind of the imagery as well is what it first drew me to. And I was like, wow. I was like, I feel it felt familiar in a way, in a good way, to where it was like, oh, okay, I know this character. I felt that I had a familiarity with him, even though it was my first time being introduced to him.
No, yeah, and that he is that solitary, brilliant detective, but we sort of skew a little left of that trope a little bit by putting he has schizophrenia.
Yeah, not quite solitary, not quite completely solitary.
Not quite completely. We give him something to work with. But yeah, it's sort of the 3 Watson in his head, basically.
Right, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, no, but totally, I definitely get those L vibes. Some of our influences definitely like Blade Runner with the cyberpunk, Ghost in the Shell, sort of that same cyberpunk aesthetic. But still, those heavy detective noir influences like Columbo.
Oh yeah,
and stuff that those are influences that caught is the same creator as Battle Cats, Mark London. The same thing that got his head rolling with the story.
Okay. So as far as Midnight Task Force, are we planning on making these into a volume set like we did with Battle Cats? Or is this, since this is a new burgeoning story, or are we still kind of in the wait and see stages?
No, we actually have our production schedule for this year done, and we're actually finalizing next year too.
Awesome.
Midnight Task Force 4-issue run up until the last issue comes out in October, and then the trade paperback comes out in December.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Battle Cats and Midnight Task Force are very different titles from each other. What types of stories that you'd like to tell at Mad Cave that you aren't currently telling?
That is a great question. Well, the thing that we set out at least with Mad Cave and sort of our mission statement was creating these fun, engaging stories, no matter the genre, but having high concepts and just bringing action-packed fun into our comics and these stories. That's so even if it's a fantasy adventure sort of epic adventure, or if it's a cyberpunk detective thriller, or even a biblical epic is going to be.
Oh, there you go.
The newest title that we've just announced, Knights of the Golden Sun, is this huge biblical epic that we feel it comes in line as being just pure fun, action-packed, just splendor.
Awesome.
And that's the stories that we want to tell. We have some stuff. We have some stuff in the down the line that I'm seeing that I'm like, oh man, that is crazy and insane. I love that. I just want to talk about that, but I can't because we've already talked about how ruthless they are. And they
right. There's someone with a gun to your head during this entire interview. Yeah.
His name, his name is also Chris. He's not great.
Right. So I guess why don't you go ahead and tell people, because there is a way for any of you aspiring artists or writers who are interested in getting involved in comics that you can get involved with Mad Cave. Like, Chris, tell the people about your talent search.
Yeah, we just launched this Mad Cave Studios talent search, which runs from July 14th to September 14th. And what it is we put this out there for people. It's hard to break into comics. It is extremely difficult. Somehow even more than other mediums. I don't know why. Because it's a very small market to get into. So what this talent search is we give you room to play in the Battle Cats world and the Midnight Task Force world for both writers and artists. And what it is learn about Battle Cats at midnight, and then for writers, write a 4 to 5 page script of any, just playing with the world, playing with the characters, see what sparks interest in you, and send that over to us, and we'll evaluate it. Same thing for artists. The worlds and characters are there for you to play with. 4 to 5 pages of sequential art, and send that over to us, and then we will evaluate it. And as soon as the contest is over, we'll announce winners at New York Comic Con. And for being a winner, we will actually we have a wealth of IPs that we're developing at Mad Cave, and basically it's a chance for you to write and or draw one of these IPs, and sort of work for hire scenario. And that's our talent search.
Nice. Yeah, and I mean, it's a great opportunity. Like, if you are an aspiring, writer or artist, or, if you're freelance and you're looking to get into something, like, this is a nice sandbox for you to play in. And, yes, within the constraints of the already pre-established world, but there's a lot of room to stretch your, wings and play in this. So, by all means, go ahead and tell them the website again.
madcavestudios.com. There you'll find it should be a talent search on the homepage, and there you find all the guidelines for all of that. And or if you on our social media channels are Mad Cave Studios. That's on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You'll find links there. And yeah, it's totally like you said, just like play with these characters, play with these worlds. We're not looking for like, this character wouldn't say that. We're looking for interesting, fresh voices, because that's what anyone is looking for.
Sure.
And we want interesting. Just be as interesting, as compelling as possible. No matter if you think that like this character would say that. Just we want people that we want to work with, and we want people that we think are interesting, compelling voices to bring into the comics market, because that is what we're looking for.
Nice. Okay, and as well, people can get your comics, Battle Cats, Midnight Task Force, the newest one. What was the title again?
Oh, Knights of the Golden Sun.
Knights of the Golden Sun. They can go to madcave.com.
Currently, for Battle Cats and Midnight, the single issues, they're going to be exclusively in local comic shops, so pre-order through your local comic shop, please, because it's very important to support them. But the trades will be available through Amazon and at your local comic shops.
Nice. Awesome. Well, I want to thank our guests for joining, and I'd like to thank you for sitting in on another edition of Talking With.
Thank you for inviting me. It was real fun.
Okay, see, wasn't that pleasant?
That was.
So yeah, did I do a good job?
You did. I enjoyed it.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say because I was really nervous, and I'm like, I don't want to screw this up because we're getting to interview people like entrepreneurs and people who have like independent businesses, and I'm like, I just do my little stupid show in my dining room.
Gotta start from somewhere.
Yeah, right. Hey, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak started Apple in their garage, so hey,
I watched that movie too.
yeah. One of the many Steve Jobs movies. So okay. Before we get into the Comic-Con stuff, I wanted to talk about another not I guess a pseudo celebrity, definitely a celebrity in my eyes. John Schnepp. John Schnepp unfortunately passed away, and it was really shocking because it kind of came out of nowhere. I was literally just the other day watching a Collider Heroes video, and I just had him on my laptop screen, so it's crazy that he's gone now. But I am getting this announcement from Empire Online. It says his fiancee Holly Payne announced his death via a Twitter post. It is with a broken heart that I announce the passing of our beloved John Schnepp, who died peacefully on July 19, 2018. John ultimately succumbed to the effects of a massive stroke. He had a blood clot removed from his left, what is that? Carotid artery, but the bleeding could not be stopped. Irreparable and catastrophic damage was caused to both hemispheres, and all brain activity ceased. His sister Deborah and I had to make the difficult decision to take him off of life support. There was no possible way for him to recover. Please understand, I spent the last hour of his life with him, holding him, laying my head across his massive chest, kissing him, stroking his hair, playing his favorite songs, and telling him over and over again how much I love him. My life has been forever changed by John. I feel endlessly grateful to have shared 16 years of laughter, love, and incredible adventures together, including the making of a feature film as well as a television series that I hope to complete and release later this year in his honor. John's mother, Miriam, his father, David, his sister, Deborah, and I are devastated beyond measure. We appreciate your love and support, and most importantly, your understanding of our privacy at this time as we grieve. The whole situation is fucking crazy. Like, he, obviously he died from a stroke, and I mean, anybody can have a stroke, but it's, man, I'm just like, dude, I'm like, no, I'm like, not Schnepp. I'm like, Schnepp was fucking awesome, man. Like, now, if you don't know who John Schnepp is, John Schnepp, he's probably, for most people who do know him, most well known from either one of two things. His documentary, The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened, or his appearances on Collider videos, the YouTube channel. Like a little bio of him. John was born May 16th, 1967. He was a producer, director, voice actor, editor, writer, cartoonist, animator, and cinematographer. Schnepp was known for the documentary film The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened, for which he directed and wrote. He also directed episodes of Metalocalypse, The Venture Brothers, and a segment of the ABCs of Death. He was also known for his work with Collider, appearing regularly as a panelist on the series Collider Movie Talk, Collider Nightmares, and Collider Heroes series, the later of which he hosted. His company, Schnepp Zone, works on short films and television series. Schnepp died on July 19, 2018, due to complications following a stroke. So yeah, John, he was very active. Like I said, he was a writer, producer, and I mainly knew him from YouTube. Now, I have seen the Death of Superman Lives documentary, and it was great. Like, it was a Superman movie you never knew you wanted and probably never did want, but it's just crazy that he was just someone that I saw on such a regular basis. It's just crazy that he's gone. Because like with other celebrities when they die, like when Robin Williams died, I was like, oh my god, like that was crazy. But it's like, I didn't watch Robin Williams movies every day or any kind of shit like that. With Schnepp, I saw him on YouTube almost on a daily basis. So it's crazy to me to have somebody go that it almost felt like I knew him to some degree or another. Not to be like some crazy fan or type shit, but it's just the whole thing is just really sad and just messed up because he was only 51, like he wasn't that old. Like the first time I saw him was on an episode of back when it was still AMC Movie News. Like remember that before they did the changeover?
I know him. I didn't really watch much when it changed to Collider.
Yeah. I was gonna say I started not to watch as much either, but still, I mean, I did pop into it on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah.
But way before it was Collider, and I always liked his commentary on films, and I just thought that he was just really entertaining. It's sad because he died leading into Comic-Con weekend, which, God, Schnepp was like a big movie nerd and all about superheroes and stuff like that. And I would have loved to have heard his thoughts on like some of the stuff that came out of Comic-Con, especially, Aquaman and stuff like that, because he was one of the few people who didn't necessarily down on DC, but he was always trying to be like that voice of optimism. Like, whereas...
Open mind.
Exactly. Whereas people like me who are always like, oh man, they over there fucking shit up, he was more optimistic about the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I would have really loved to have heard his thoughts on like, some of the stuff that came out. But I mean, basically, I just wanted to give my condolences to John's family and, just send my love, in this just shocking and tragic time for, his family. There is also a GoFundMe page set up to help his family to cover their medical costs. So if you want to help, that's how you can do that. So yeah, like I said, go help out if you're interested. And they have a GoFundMe page, and I'm sure they'd really appreciate it because, as I'm sure you know, if you live in the United States, like medical bills can be just ridiculous, especially between that and if you pass, then burial costs and everything else. So you'd be really helping these guys out. Yeah. But anyway, I don't have a segue into from that depressing thing to this depressing thing, other than they are both depressing, I guess. So the Titans trailer. So yeah, Comic-Con, I guess, was just taken over, we'll say, by DC. Marvel was not there this year. And so DC was like, this is our chance to pull our dick out and just show it to the world. Like we going all out. They are all in, you could say. No. No, we're not gonna go back to that. But so one of the first trailers that DC put out was the Titans trailer. And Titans is going to be this ain't your daddy's Teen Titans. Like, hell no. Like, they going all out. So, okay. Impressions. What did you think of the Titans trailer out the gate?
I didn't like it.
No?
It was...
Why would you not like that, Amber? It's quality television.
No,
whatever do you mean?
It was moving at the right pace, and there was stuff happening, but it just did not keep my attention.
Okay. So okay. So to me, okay, this it looks like if Riverdale, Twilight, and Arrow had a baby, and then that baby was like born with like depressed, like PTSD or something, like it
just born into the world dark.
Yeah, it's so dark. Like, why so dark? Why so angry? I don't. Now, okay. I can see what the conversation was, right? There was somebody in a boardroom,
and they were like, look, I got it. We're going to make a Teen Titans live action show, but we're going to make it dark and gritty. So it's got to be super, realistic, and everybody got problems and depressed and stuff like that. Nobody's happy to be a superhero. Starfire is a prostitute, Raven looks like she might be a fucking cutter or some shit. Like, it's just like, I don't...
We're just killing people left and right.
Oh my god. Okay. I'm really confused, honestly, about how this show didn't end up on the CW in the first place, because it's supposed to be on DC's streaming service thing. Another bullshit thing. It's like, I'm not signing up for it. I don't care. Like, I don't. Unless you come out with just a onslaught of good content consistently for years, I am not signing up for another streaming service. I'm not doing it. Like, I'm just not. Like, y'all can keep all that bullshit. It's not fucking happening. But, yeah, how this didn't end up on the CW is beyond me. But they have not learned anything from the complaints of Man of Steel or Batman versus Superman. Like, we didn't want Batman and Superman to kill. Why the hell do we want Robin to be a killer? Like, okay, so the trailer opens up, and it's showing, like, Raven at, like, a circus, and she's having flashes of seeing what happened to Robin's parents dying and shit like that. And she goes to him for help or whatever, and she's like, oh, you're the boy from the circus or whatever. And then they show him, like, beating up these, like, crooks in the alley, and he comes down, and the one guy's like, where's Batman? And Robin shoots his grappling hook into this guy's back. Which, if you don't know how a grappling hook is supposed to work, it's either like this little claw thing, almost like those like vending machines where you try to pick up something but you never get the shit. Animals. Exactly. Either one of those, or like some kind of hook type thing that, like, wraps around something. But he shoots that into the guy's back, rips him into the windshield of this car, then stabs a different dude in the neck with a batarang, and then uses his gun to shoot his other friends to death, and then steps on some other guy's neck and breaks it, presumably, because there's a crunch sound when he does it.
He was dead. And
then... right. Dead as fuck.
Yes.
And then they cut to Robin, and he's like, fuck Batman. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like, first off, that is wrong on so many different levels. Like, if DJ Melly Mel was here, she'd be like, no, Robin, fuck you, okay? Because... So fuck Batman, the guy who took you in as an orphan when your parents died, and gave you a home and trained you to be a vigilante and gave you money and love and everything else.
Every teenager goes through that stage.
Man, he grown as hell. He a goddamn police detective. I'm like, and that's the problem. If they're not gonna be teenagers, and it's like, why is he so angsty and shit? Like, you like 25 years old. Why the fuck is you so mad still? And it's like he's throwing his little Robin thing, and it's like, I guess they're going to try and transition him into Nightwing throughout the course of the series, but whatever. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't need to see a bunch of murdery ass, superheroes again. Like, we don't.
We don't need
that. I don't know, man. It just looks like a bunch of, like, try-hard and edgelord bullshit. Like, oh, we gotta be dark and gritty. Like, you don't have to force that shit. Like, these characters... Robin does not convey dark and grittiness, alright? The kid in the green and red spandex with the yellow cape, like, come on, man. Stop playing.
It looks like he belongs on the box of a cereal.
Thank you! On the box of a cereal. But I'm just...
On the internet.
Right. It's just... Oh, God. I mean, I don't know. People are going to be like, well, you won't give it a chance, Michael. I'm like, well...
I've given things enough chances. I'm done.
Yeah. Pretty much. I've given all my chances out. I have no more to give. Sorry. My pockets are empty, bro.
They are.
I mean... And then, it was... And the people involved with this, they swore up and down. Like, oh, the set photos are not a good representation of the finished product. And I'm here to call bullshit on that. Like, this trailer looks cheap and chintzy as
It
hell.
does.
Like they got a budget of like $300, and that's to cover everything, that food and board and everything.
The lights, the bills.
Oh god, it's okay. So this is how cheap this show is, right? Beast Boy is only green when he's using his powers. Starfire is only orange when she's using her powers. Raven is only in her hood and has the crazy eyes and all that shit when she's using her powers. I'm like, so basically everybody just looks like normal kids, throughout it, and it's just like, it's whatever. Or,
Like-
young adults.
They're like, kids, we only have the outfits or the costumes for 2.5 hours today. We have to get it all in that amount of time, or they gotta go back.
It's pretty much a dry cleaner.
Yeah. The studio we rent them from.
Right, man. This tuxedo got to go back before, or I won't get my deposit back.
Yeah, we don't have that much money to spend.
It's just frustrating, man, because it's like, man, spend some money on this shit. Like, if you're gonna make it and make it look good. Like, god damn it, man. Just like, I'm like, look, this is my thing. Regardless of your feelings on it, if you think that there's something in this to get excited for, that's whatever. But my thing is, look, if this is what Warner Brothers is serving up to get people to go to their streaming service, I don't think it's gonna go so well. Like, this is not gonna be no Netflix or Hulu or Crunchyroll, anything. Like,
Take a seat.
it's, oh god, it's several seats. Take them with you. Get out. Get the fuck out. I don't know, man. I mean, call me a DC hater or whatever, but I just.
I'm not gonna waste my time.
No. Well, and that's the thing too. And I would like to review this, but sorry guys, unless y'all gonna get me a subscription to that streaming service, like, I'm not watching this bullshit because I'm not signing up for it. I don't give a fuck. No, fucking DC streaming service. I'm not doing it. And when Disney come out with that shit, I guess I'm just not gonna be seeing the Marvel Disney shows no more, because it won't be Marvel Netflix. It'll be Marvel Hulu
Disney.
or whatever the fuck it is. I don't know. Like, I'm
Marvel X Disney.
all right. Moving on. The next DC thing that dropped during Comic-Con is what would you just doing?
Aquaman.
I was like, he doesn't have a theme song like that. He should.
Me just going, Aquaman.
Right, as the movie opens up, the big, like, epic title comes up, and it's just Aquaman. It's like, the fuck is this? It's like, I want my money back. No, something is wrong with the projector or something. No, guys, this is no, right? No.
I left the windows open at my house. I gotta go.
Right, something. But so, okay, thoughts.
I already said when we watched the trailer.
Yeah, this is off mic. Yeah.
I'm only watching it to look at him. Like,
Sure, that's fine. I mean, honestly, I think that's why DJ Melly Mel is interested in the movie too, because she just loves her some, Jason Momoa. So it's like, yeah, okay, you have the eye candy, but I'm like, there was nothing in that made you
it
go
looked
like,
better
okay.
than Titans.
Yeah, true. It didn't look as cheap as Titans,
No,
but
it didn't.
the special effects were still coming. Okay. So I'll say this. I like the tone that they're going for. I like that it's lighter than the tone that we were trying to strike in Batman versus Superman and Justice League and Man of Steel. Like, I don't think, Jason Momoa is going to be out here breaking nobody's necks and crazy shit like that.
No.
But maybe, probably. But I don't know. If this, I feel like if this is the tone we would have set for the DC universe from the beginning, then I wouldn't be so suspect of it, because now I'm like, y'all just trying to trick me.
Yeah.
Like I'm like a battered wife. It's like, I don't trust you no more. So it's like I can't come back to you because I feel like this is just some kind of like, okay, Aquaman's gonna be like this, Shazam's gonna be kind of lighthearted, you know, Wonder Woman to some degree, but then we're gonna get back to Batman and Superman, and it's gonna be all like, why did you say that name? Like, okay, calm the fuck down. But I guess as far as just like impressions, like I do like the tone that they're going for. I know this is the first trailer, so some of the CG could get better once the movie comes out. They are still working on the movie, so I'm not going to completely knock it for that. But it does look like it's borrowing a lot visually from other movies like Green Lantern and Black Panther and Star Wars Episode 1. And there's a lot of similarities. I mean, even, okay, so the shot where they go to Atlantis and they go through the water and they go to the underwater city, that looks a lot like the scene where they go through the force field into Wakanda in Black Panther.
Yeah.
You know, the underwater city looks a lot like the underwater city in Star Wars in the prequels. The fight that he's having with his brother, the Sea King, is a lot visually like the fight that Killmonger and T'Challa have in Black Panther. So it's like I get why people and then like the different creatures and stuff reminded me a lot of like Green Lantern. Like, so I get why people would draw those comparisons. I just feel like it's almost not fair to Aquaman because I'm like, well, this is what his stuff is in the comics and stuff. Is just that they never had faith enough in him to give him a movie. So all these other movies have had a chance to come out and kind of take bits and pieces of things that is in his mythology. And so now it feels like he's ripping off other shit when really it's like, you know,
it's his idea.
Right, exactly. It's like, you know, Aquaman did it first, but he'll never get credit for that, unfortunately, for him, I guess. I still don't think Jason Momoa can carry his own movie. Like, the only movie I've seen him as the lead actor in was the Conan movie, and that movie wasn't very good.
I don't think I saw that.
I think we watched it. It's very forgettable. Sure, I barely remember that I even saw the shit, let alone remember the movie itself. But yeah, that wasn't very good. I'm not convinced that he can carry his own movie. I'm just not. Like, what do you think? Do you, besides you like to hear him as some eye candy, what do you feel about him as an actor? I guess as a thespian.
I haven't really seen much of him except in the last few DC movies.
It's Justice League, yeah.
So I don't know,
my man.
If he keeps like that whole lumberjack, like scruffy kind of attitude like that, yeah, it could be a good movie.
Man, I don't want him to be a dude bro, though. It doesn't seem like we're dropping the dude bro shit, because that was one of the biggest criticisms about a dude bro. It says, well, what's up, bro? Dude bro. Like, okay,
I said lumberjack, like scruffy.
No, man.
Like, yeah, dude.
No, because that's what the whole joke I was making just a second ago, yeah, my man, and all that. I'm not making that shit up. He does that in the movie.
Yeah, but still.
That's that dude bro shit. That, yeah, man. And like in the trailer for this, like every time he's fuck, whoa, and all this shit, it's like, dude, we can't take your ass nowhere.
He's supposed to be a fish, okay?
Fish don't do that. When the last time
Finding Nemo.
No, I don't think it works like that. Though I did find it interesting that they have them, because in Justice League, when they had to talk to each other underwater, Mira made like this like water dome bubble thing that they could talk to each other in. But in this, it's just like they're just talking to each other underwater. So it's like we're not even going to try to explain how that works or why they can, you know,
just believe. Yeah,
because sure, I can buy that. Yeah, they can breathe underwater and this, that, and the other. But it's like, you know, if you go to talk, it's like, you know, you can't. But I guess they just said, fuck it.
They got gills.
Right, which is fine. But you can't talk underwater. Like, it don't work like that.
The air and the water bubbles go right through their gills.
Right, it just pops by their ear, and then they hear what you said. Exactly. It just travels to in a bubble to them. Yeah, I don't know. The CG does look kind of rough. One thing I find interesting is that the guy who plays in Shazam, who gives Billy Batson the powers, that's I'm gonna ruin his name. I know I'm gonna butcher this shit. Jamon Hansu. I think that actually, I think that's the best I've ever said it. Actually,
that sounds pretty right.
Pretty right, yeah. That's close enough, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
I can hold on. Yeah, I'm gonna start doing that voice you hate all the time.
Don't.
What's the matter?
What nightmares are made out of?
Anyway, no, Jamon Hansu. He is the Fisherman King in Aquaman. He was that green dude that had the gold armor, and that's Jamon Hansu. So I was like, so wait a minute, so you got the same actor playing two different characters in the same universe?
Exactly.
I'm like, it's one thing when, say, Lawrence Fishburne is Perry White in Man of Steel, and then he's, Goliath and, Ant-Man. At least he jumped to a different universe and a different company. But I'm like, you got the same guy in the same universe. It's like, so the guy who gave... So the old Shazam is also the Fisherman King in Atlantis? I'm like, granted, yes, the Fisherman King is green and CG and shit, but it's still his voice. So technically, that's canon. That counts.
He's got a twin.
He's got a twin. He's got a twin green fish dude. We look absolutely nothing alike, but we sound alike, so that's enough to, classify us as twins. All right. I guess we'll go with that logic. But it doesn't... I'll give them credit for this. It does seem that they are trying to faithfully adapt the characters, but I think that's almost to the detriment of the movie, but some of them, it just makes them look kind of stupid. Why are you making a crazy ass face at me?
Because I sniffled.
Okay. The Sea King.
Mm-hmm.
That Patrick Wilson's character. His mask looks dumb. It does. It just looks dumb. It's supposed to give him like the ability to like control the oceans or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, Ocean Master. I'm sorry. Yes, Ocean Master. Yeah. And then there is Black Manta, who, which shout out to Corey Coleman. I'm stealing your joke. Which he is another in a long line of superheroes and supervillains who have black in their name and are actually black. I'm like Black Lightning, Black Manta, like Black Panther, like, yeah, okay, we get it, guys. You're black. So pretty much, if your name is Black anything, you're probably a black man, more than most likely, according to comic books. But Black Manta's costume is very super comic book accurate. That big ass, submarine helmet or not submarine, but scuba diving helmet and the red eyes and everything and the beams and all that. It's all there. It looks like it's supposed to look, but it kind of looks stupid. It does. I'm sorry. It kind of looks stupid.
And some more money.
Man, it's not even about the... It's almost like what the problem is that they have to redesign these costumes in the comics to get the hardcore fans okay with it. Then when they change it for the movie, it's like, no, it's okay. It's like that in the comics. Because, look, I'm a fanboy to a degree myself, so I get it. When, you change things from the source material, people get mad. So if you want to keep the fanboys happy... You change the source material, and then that way, when you adapt it to film, it's like, see, it's okay. It's already like this in the comics. It's all good. No worries. Like, even though we made the movie and the comic book simultaneously just to change the source material, but still, it is different now. Don't worry. I'm giving them an open opportunity to impress me.
You gotta wow us.
Yes, pretty much. That's the logic I'm going to go with. I am not going to sit here and just shit on it and go... It's going to suck out the gate. I will give it a chance. I will go into it with a open mind. and an open heart.
Come forth.
Right. Please, I want to love you, Aquaman. I do. I want to give you my love, but you got to earn it. I'm sorry. I'm not an easy pickup.
You gotta prove you're not crazy.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, and all that shit. He's clearly crazy than a motherfucker, but beyond that, though, is whether or not, yeah, we'll see. So, speaking of crazy,
Shazam.
right. How are speaking of Shazam? You completely ruined my segue, Amber. Jesus, I was like,
That's what I'm here for.
like, pretty much. I love you. Speaking of crazy, isn't it crazy how funny and awesome and not terrible that Shazam trailer was? That was a terrible segue. It's probably good that you ruined it. Yeah, I know. I tried. I worked really hard on that
I'm
one.
sorry.
All of like 3 seconds to try and find something that you said that could work into a segue. Anywho, yeah. So the Shazam trailer. There we go. It was funny.
It looked good.
No, yeah, don't act like that because
No.
you were laughing
I was
through
laughing. I
it.
did.
Don't be like that. You're like, well, you know, no, it was good.
It looks different than what we've seen before.
Yeah, okay. It reminds me of Big, the Tom Hanks movie, meets Big meets I don't know, something, Superman, I guess. Or just any other coming of age story. It feels like Big, and I feel like they're leaning into that really hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
About or think of Freaky Friday or something like that. You know,
like a movie like that.
Yeah, you know, where it's really leaning into that being in somebody else's shoes and that fish out of water thing, and like I like that. And I mean, look, they couldn't make this shit dark. Like they just could not. Like you can't have this kid becoming an adult superhero and be some old super dark and gritty shit. Like it can't be. But it is funny though, because the tone of this is rightly lighter than the rest of the DCU, and that's good and it's a promising direction. But I do find it funny that, you know, just think elsewhere, Superman is breaking motherfuckers' necks, Batman is blowing people to fuck up, and Robin is stabbing people to death. So, you know, hey, he fits right in to the rest of the DC universe.
Happy kid.
Yeah, just hey, this is the status quo we've set. So, you know, but Nick, the guy that was just on last episode from Nerd to the Third podcast, as he would say, it's like, well, you know, hey, they have multiple, you know, dimensions and realities, so we can just say, hey, these are all just their own realities. And I'm like, I guess so. Yeah. And the reality where, you know, Shazam is surprisingly not the most terrible thing in the world.
Surprisingly.
But I'm gonna say though, straight up, that costume is not what's up.
I like it.
That costume, it looks so goofy, and
I like it.
It's just, it's too padded. Like, I know y'all got Zachary Levi to jack off. I know y'all got, I don't know where the fuck that was going. I know y'all got Zachary Levi to work out, but he don't look jacked. He looked like he's in a big puffer coat. You know, like it's wintertime. Like it's weird.
They're overselling the fact that he's a kid turned into a grown up.
Right, and that's the thing. It's like you don't need to do all that. And what's funny about it though is I can already tell there's going to be kind of a disconnect between how he acts as Shazam and how he acts as when he's Billy Batson, because that kid who plays Billy is not that big goofy motherfucker that he turns into when he becomes Shazam. He's like,
nerd.
He's like, dude, I didn't know how to pee in this thing. Like, it was a funny line. I'm not making fun of that.
Yeah, bro, dude.
But pretty much. But Billy Batson didn't act like that. He was kind of like the more cool, like the younger, like foster brother, the handicapped kid. He was the one that was all kind of goofy acting and shit. Where the other one, where he was like, yeah, so they could fly out of this conversation and shit, and He was like, man, I'm too cool to be trying to help you walk home from school and getting beat up by bullies and all this shit. So when he becomes Shazam and he's all like, gee willikers and all that shit, I'm like, where did that kid come from? That's not how you were acting before. And I mean, I guess, you know, it's because he's getting used to...
Yeah, he gained all that confidence.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, what's up, I'm a superhero. And the scene that you really liked and really thought was funny, and your phone's charged, your phone's charged.
They all explode.
Yeah, like that was pretty funny. So, yeah, I mean, this, because I remember I used to say this with Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm like, how are you going to make all this crazy raccoon and talking tree and all this other shit fit with, you know, Captain America and Iron Man and, you know, the Hulk and stuff like that? But they made that work. I am yet to see how they're going to make this fit into, you know...
the rest of the universe.
Right, because everybody else is... fuck Batman and all this other shit, and it's like, yeah. But, I mean, it does look funny. It does look funny and fun. Mark Strong is playing the villain in it, and I don't think we're going to see The Rock in it, because The Rock's supposed to be playing Black Adam, which is like his Shazam's villain. I don't think we're going to see The Rock in it. I would like to see The Rock, but I don't know.
We would all like to see
Right. The Rock would like to see The Rock. He's like, I'm always up to see more of me. But yeah, no, this, I guess here, and I guess we're on the third trailer in, so I should have started doing this at the beginning. But whoops. So real quick, rewind back to the Titans trailer. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs down. All right. So the Aquaman trailer, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs in the middle.
Thumbs in the middle. All right. Shazam trailer, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. All right. That's fair. Okay. So.
Fast forward to now time.
Yes. Right. Back to the present. Yeah. So.
Thumbs down.
If you don't do that. Don't. That's not fair. That's not fair. So, if you listened to the show for a while, you know how I felt about what was that, 2015 Godzilla?
Something like that.
It was about like 2-3 years ago.
We wiped it all.
Yeah, I'm trying to desperately to forget that movie. Yeah, if you've been listening to the show for a while, and if not, you're going to hear it now. I did not like that Godzilla movie. That I literally fell asleep in the movie theater. And you know I do not fall asleep in the movie theater. Like, that made me so angry when we went and saw that movie. Because I'm like, this is a big budget action movie with loud ass special effects and explosions and everything else. And I'm asleep right now. Like, this is bullshit.
You didn't miss none.
No, I didn't. And I've watched it since then. Like, no. Mm-mm. They sold that first movie on Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
Like,
that was the only reason you got me to go see it.
And he dies within the first, 10 minutes of that movie. And I was so mad. And after that, we got to watch fucking Kick-Ass run around the rest of the movie. And I'm just like, oh, man. So, the biggest complaint that everybody had about that was we don't spend enough time with Godzilla. And when we do see him, we're always cutting away, or they're, showing him on a little TV screen in the background fighting. We never get to see just a clean, all-out fight. This movie looks like it's trying to remedy that. I'll give it that. I'm trying to be fair with this shit. Even though I have my bias, I'm trying to be fair with it.
They're not going to get me again.
No, you're going to see it. You're going to see it.
I don't know. I don't want to see it. I'll have to be drunk to go see it.
Jesus Christ.
No.
It's not that goddamn bad. I mean, okay. We know that Eleven is in it from Stranger Things, Millie Bobby Brown.
So is Norma.
Okay, yep, and Vera Farmiga from Bates Motel. And we like both of those actresses. There's a few other actors and actresses that I saw in there that I like. Kim Watanabe is back. Let them fight. Like, he's back. And there was another, I think Ming Na, I think is her name. She's from like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. and she plays a Chinese astronaut in the Cloverfield Paradox, the one that gets like frozen in the thing. They showed her. She's the one that's taking off the hood when Godzilla's coming up out of the water. Yeah, and a few other actors and stuff are in there. So I mean, they have a good cast. So at least when they do spend time with the human characters, at least I hope I give a shit this time. I just
we'll see.
Like in this one especially. This one is called Godzilla King of the Monsters. Like, you can't fuck around with this one. Like, don't cock tease me with this movie. Like, this is the one to be like, look, we got Mothra, Rodan, King Ghidorah, and Godzilla. Like, this is supposed to be just a monster Royal Rumble, or I guess they're going to team up against Ghidorah. I don't know. However it goes, please give me some cool ass monster fights, and not within the last 10-15 minutes of the movie, because that the way the first Godzilla movie ended was awesome. Everything else bullshit. But anyway, the way they have it set up, at least they make it seem like Vera Farmiga's character is unleashing the monsters, I guess, because what is Millie Bobby Brown? She what does she say to her? She has that line where she says you're a monster to her, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry. And then she has a whole speech at the beginning where she's like, these are the original rightful rulers of this world, and we're the plague, and we have to set balance and this and some old Thanos type shit.
They're gonna take over pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. We're gonna pull some Jurassic Park shit and just fuck up everything. But yeah, the way they're making it seem like she's gonna kind of be like the villain of this, which that could be interesting.
She's good at doing that.
Yeah. I don't know. I have a fool me once attitude about this. I like what I'm seeing so far, but the first film is shit. So
they're not gonna get me again.
Right, unfettered shit with like 8 SHs on it. Shit. They really seem to be playing up the more awe than the shock and awe, because it's all like, oh, look at the beautiful creatures, and like Millie Bobby Brown's like trying to touch the one, and it's just like, why would you even? I don't give a fuck if that shit's friendly or not. It's like 200 feet tall. Why would you ever? No.
Pretty.
It glows blue, mommy. I want to touch one. I like it. I want to get one for myself. Yes. But I don't know, man. It's in even the music in the trailer, like the whole. It's like, what is? It's like, I thought this was like supposed to be like a fighting monster movie. I'm thinking it's gonna be like and explosions and shit, and it's all.
We don't know what it's gonna be like.
Godzilla,
fight to the death.
Mothra, Ghidorah,
kill them all.
that look, Warner Brothers hit us up for the soundtrack. I'm telling you, we got you, fam. I really like the way it looks, like a lot of the colors, the blues and stuff. I really like the visual stuff in the trailer. Like I said, I like the cast, but the cast in the first film is pretty good as well, and yeah, we saw how that went. One thing I will say, is it just me, or did Godzilla put on some weight?
Chunky.
Like, did he get fat at some point? Like, did I miss something where I guess he's been in hibernation in between the first movie and this movie?
So he was storing up.
Right, but it's like, what the fuck was you eating? Like, what small country did you devour to get that big? Because, like, when he comes out, when they show him at the end with, like, the jets flying, and and all that shit, and it's like,
he's double wide.
He is moving so slow, and just boom, boom, and I'm like, oh, man, I see why you need the help from all these other monsters. Your big ass safe to do shit. Hey, we should have put your ass on a workout regimen, Godzilla. Like, fuck.
Diet.
But it does seem cool, though, that it looks like he's working with the humans more in this one, and it's not just going to be like, oh, he's terrorizing the city and killing everybody. Like, he's actually working with the humans, I guess, because like the jets are flying with him and all that shit. So I mean,
we're on the same team.
yeah, and the last one they did that too, where he fights off the monsters to protect the Earth or whatever. But he's not necessarily working directly with the military and shit. Now it's like I fully expected an American flag to be, you know, hanging off the back of his ass and shit. So yeah, it has promise.
No.
Yeah, just no. Give it a chance. Come on.
No.
Either way, we're gonna end up seeing this shit, and hopefully it'll be good enough to get you over your bias. Because I'm gonna give it a shot, even though I hate the Godzilla. Okay, and now to the thing that I was excited for, but I did not realize how hyped I was for it compared to anything else that came out of Comic-Con this year.
Because I found it first.
Right, was the Glass trailer. Like, holy shit. This, I mean, like, the hype is real for this trailer. Like, okay. This gave me chills, like, when I saw the first trailer for the original Avengers. Like, this was like, I can't believe this is happening, especially because it's been 20 years since Unbreakable came out. And when that movie came out, we didn't even know that there would even be a sequel to that. Even when the sequel came out, we didn't even know it was a sequel to like the last like 2 seconds of the movie.
We had no idea.
And so to see how this has come, together is just incredible. Like, this is the superhero movie we never knew we wanted. Like, or the superhero universe that we never knew we wanted. Because there are things in this trailer that makes me think he's going to try and keep spinning this off into some other movies with some other characters in the same universe, or try and keep this going for a while. Like, I think
I would watch.
Yeah, I think he could surge his whole career and just make movies that take place in this universe, and I'd be all about that shit. So if you haven't seen Unbreakable, first go watch Unbreakable. But that movie has Bruce Willis in it. Basically, quick synopsis. He is a guy who used to play football. He got hurt, and he couldn't play anymore when he was younger, and he ends up working as like security at this like football stadium. And Sam Jackson character meets him, and he thinks that because Bruce Willis's character survived this train crash where he was the sole survivor and everybody else died, that there's something special about him. Because Sam Jackson's character has this condition where all of his bones break really easily, and he thinks that there has to be somebody on the other end of the spectrum who's not like him, who can't be hurt easily. Yeah. And so the whole thing is about trying to prove, you know, to Bruce Willis that he is a superhero. And, you know, by the end of it, you find out he does have abilities and stuff like that. He does have, you know, an Achilles heel or like a weakness and stuff like that. And it's a great movie. It's really, really
I
good.
really enjoyed it.
And then Split is the most recent one, and that's really, really good. That has this character who is schizophrenic, and he has like 24 personalities within him, and one of the personalities is this pretty much a monstrous demon type cannibal shit. Yeah, the Beast is what they call him.
That's
and
scary.
Yeah, he has this affinity for kidnapping girls, and he has personalities in him that are men, women, gay, children, all kind of crazy shit, and a monster.
Gotta get them all.
Yeah, so it's awesome. So and at the end of that movie, it's revealed that Bruce Willis exists in the same universe as the Beast. So, you know, that's letting us know as the audience, like, all this is tied together. All these characters exist together. So Glass is finally the culmination of all this. And this has been 20 years in the making, like I said. And it looks like it's going to mainly take place in a psychiatric hospital. I'm not really sure how Bruce Willis gets put there as well. I mean, I get why the Beast is there and why Glass is there. Probably because it looks like he meets the Beast earlier in the movie. Like that scene where he bumps into the guy and he's listening to the headphones. That's the Beast that he bumps into right there. Because that part where he's like, oh, the Beast's coming any minute now for you guys. Like that. Like, I love that character.
I do too.
Like that I'm pretty sure Bruce Willis comes to try to save those girls because when he touches him, he sees that he has them. And then I think somehow they get apprehended and they both get put in a psychiatric hospital because they're like, probably like, well, how did you know to go there? And he's like, oh, I got visions and all this other shit.
So they think he's crazy as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, no, just the way that the trailer just was put together, like with the music and all that dome and just like Sam Jackson's like, oh, I've been waiting for the world to, know we exist, and a lot of people are gonna die, and I'm just like, oh man, like it's such small scale, but it's still so epic at the same time.
We didn't know how much we were missing out until we saw this.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I didn't, and it's crazy because okay. Let's for a second. It's amazing how DC is fumbling and Universal just straight up crashed and burned right out the gate trying to make a universe. But somehow the guy who made Avatar: The Last Airbender has made a cinematic universe right under our noses, and it's good. It's like, how did this happen? You let the dude who made The Village and Lady in the Water and Avatar: The Last Airbender, y'all let him come out of nowhere and with this shit, and he is killing the game right now, just killing it. Like, I don't even know what to say. Like, it just looks so good, and there's not a lot of special effects. Yeah, it's not a lot of like, flying around and all that kind of shit. No. It's real low budget, but it's the story is so good.
It's real life, that's why.
Yeah, like the characters are so intriguing that it's like I want to see more so than them fight or anything else, which I do want to see them fight, but is them interact with each other. Yeah. Like, oh man,
it's just interesting.
Mm-hmm. And what's really crazy too is how they got the actress to come back from Split, which I thought that was cool. I didn't think that we'd see her in this.
I didn't think so either.
But it's cool. It's almost like she's coming to visit him. My God. Right. No, he's like, no way. But she's back, and so is the actress who plays Sam Jackson's mom in Unbreakable, and the actor who played Bruce Willis's son is back too, which I had Amber look him up and shit. I'm like, no, you have to like see the picture of him as a kid compared to now. That dude is probably like 30 some odd years old, and he still looks like he's 8. Like, he literally looks exact, baby face and all, looks exactly.
He does.
I'm pretty sure that motherfucker still got the same haircut.
Just a little bit more modern.
Yeah, he looks exactly the same. It's crazy. He's just taller. He's not aged a day. But yeah, it's just crazy that he got them to come back to do this, and I'm like, oh man, like I have such high hopes. I just hope that I don't hype myself up too much for this, and then
I don't know. Split was so good, so I don't.
Split and Unbreakable are such good movies where it's like I
don't have doubts right now.
I'm curious though, is there going to be a twist? Because in almost all the M. Night's movies, there's some kind of twist. So I'm wondering.
It was all a dream.
Oh God, no! Don't pull that shit, because he's building something, and if he does some shit like that, I think people will get mad. I'm
probably,
yeah, people will get real mad. But I mean, overall, I just can't wait to see this, because I just want to see Bruce Willis and Sam Jackson together again, especially get to see their characters interact after 20 years, and just be like, because of how we left off with them at the end of Unbreakable, him finding out that Sam Jackson's character was causing all these accidents and all these people was. Because he was trying to find someone who was like him, he was willing to kill a bunch of other innocent people to root out the one person who couldn't be hurt. Exactly. And that was like a real powerful ending to that, And he's like, like, if you're the superhero, then, I must be the bad guy, the villain. So, it's going to be so good. I hope so, at least. Please be good. Please be good. God damn it. Please be good. Shit has hit the proverbial fan, I think, is probably putting it lightly.
Very lightly. Mm-hmm.
So, okay. If you haven't heard, somehow, James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, and was supposed to have been the writer and director of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, was fired by Disney due to some regrettable
Questionable.
yeah, right, tweets. It's okay. So
The internet gonna find you.
yeah, it's jeez, man. Like it's some shit. So okay. I'm getting this from Deadline. It says Gunn was fired swiftly by Disney on Friday after Fox News and other right-wing media outlets unearthed some old social media posts from the filmmaker on subjects that touched on rape and pedophilia. Gunn claimed that the old tweets were just taboo jokes. Conservative media resurfaced Gunn's old post in an effort to knock him down since he's an outspoken critic of President Donald Trump. This is going to be a pretty lengthy information dump, so just bear with me. So, okay. These are the tweets in question. Now, I'm not going to read all the tweets, but these are just some of the ones that I had, specifically picked out. One of the ones that you've probably seen, if you've heard about this story at all, is it's one that says, "I like it when little boys touch me in my silly place." Shh. Then there's one that says, "This hotel shower is the weakest ever. Felt like a 3-year-old was peeing on my head." Then there's another that says, "Eagle snatches kid is what I call it when I get lucky." There's another that says, "3 men and a baby they had sex with." And then there's one that goes, "I remember my first NAMBLA meeting. It was the first time I felt okay being who I am. Some of those guys are still my BFFs." Now, NAMBLA, if you don't know, is like the North American, Man-Boy Love Association, which it's basically a group that is trying to justify pedophilia, pretty
Which
much.
is wrong.
Yeah. Now, and like I said, there's more. Just bear with me. Now, I'm getting this part from The Verge. Now this is James Gunn's apology after the tweets were released. Okay. This is before he actually got fired. Many people who have followed my career know when I started, I viewed myself as a provocateur, making movies and telling jokes that were outrageous and taboo. As I have discussed publicly many times, as I've developed as a person, so has my work and my humor. It's not to say I'm better, but I am very, very different than I was a few years ago. Today, I try to root my work in love and connection and less in anger. My days saying something just because it's shocking and trying to get a reaction are over. In the past, I have apologized for humor of mine that hurt people. I truly felt sorry and meant every word of my apologies. For the record, when I made these shocking jokes, I wasn't living them out. I know this is a weird statement to make and seems obvious, but still, here I am saying it. Anyway, that's the completely honest truth. I used to make a lot of offensive jokes. I don't anymore. I don't blame my past self for this, but I like myself more and feel like a more full human being and creator today. Love you to you all. And so, in light of that, there has been, obviously Disney put the axe on him, and let him go. But in light of that, since that's happened, a bunch of celebrities have come out in defense of James Gunn, and one of which who was Selma Blair. Excuse me. And she said, in 2 tweets, she said, James Gunn, I thank you for your talent, your decency, and your evolution as a man. You propped me up when I was in a scary place and guided me towards the decent and right thing to do. You have shown strength of character more than most anyone I know. You understood. In the second tweet, Blair said, Marvel rehire James Gunn, sign the petition, and there's a change.org petition, because if people are punished despite changing, then what does that teach people about owning mistakes and evolving? This man is one of the good ones. Director Joe Carnahan also shared the petition yesterday, and as of this story, it had amassed more than 64,000 signatures. Now there's more. I said it was a big information dump. You thought I was bullshitting. because I want to completely vet this story before we start to make any kind of commentary on it. So, Dave Bautista also made a tweet, and Dave Bautista, if you don't know, plays Drax in the Guardians movies. He said, initially, I will have more to say, but for right now, all I will say is this. James Gunn is one of the most loving, caring, good-natured people I have ever met. He's gentle and kind and cares deeply for people and animals. He's made mistakes. We all have. I'm not okay with what's happening to him. And then Sean Gunn, his brother.
Oh, Kirk.
Yeah, who plays Kirk and what is that, Gilmore Girls? And he plays, I don't know his name of his character in the Guardians movies, though. Kirk. Right, he's just going to be Kirk and everything, yeah.
He has 15 million jobs.
Yeah, and this is kind of like a condensed version of, you know, it's a much longer tweet, but he goes on to say, since devoting his entire life to the Guardians movies and MCU 6 years ago, I've seen him channel that voice into his work on those movies and seen him transform from the guy who made up things to shock people. I saw that he was more open-hearted than the guy who needed to get a rise out of people by making nasty or offensive jokes, or whatever you choose to call them. I don't think his bluer material was ever his funniest, and neither does Mom. So, okay. Now that we've gotten all that out the way, let's establish a few things here. For one, this is not something that recently happened. These tweets are almost a decade old. Mm-hmm. This is something that has been brought up before that he's apologized about, and you know, it's not like it was a secret per se, and yeah, so okay.
Someone just went digging to hurt him or
stab
him in the back.
You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Exactly right. So okay, I want to start by saying this. I am vehemently against pedophilia. I do not, and rape. I don't think that it's funny. I don't think that it's something that we should tolerate by any stretch of the imagination. Like, it's not okay. Like, rape and pedophilia. I know people say, you know, anything is okay. Everything is fair game when it comes to comedy. But those two subjects, no. I'm like, I've never heard a funny rape joke.
Yeah, that's crossing a line.
Yeah, and speaking of rape, because I know all the ones that I read off were the pedophilia ones. There was a rape one that it was something to the effect of, the great thing about being raped is once it's all over, you can go, whew, man, this is great, not being raped. And I'm like, it's not even funny. No. Like, that shit is corny as fuck. So yeah, he definitely had some poor taste in humor for sure. But there's been a lot of people that have been trying to make comparisons between this and Roseanne being fired for her comments. And I think that it's a false equivalence. And the reason that I feel that it's a false equivalence is because Roseanne has always said and done this kind of shit.
Yeah.
And she hasn't obviously learned anything from it because she continues to do so. And it's like, it was the Ambien. It wasn't me. It was the Ambien. Like, okay.
No, that was
it's
you.
like, shut your crazy ass the fuck up. But with James Gunn, it's like, yes, and plus with her too, I don't ever feel like any of the shit she was ever saying was to be funny or to make a joke, even if it was a bad joke. It was just like, no, I'm just saying this shit because this is how I feel.
Yeah, she doesn't really care.
Right. Granted, it may have been to make fun of somebody, like in the case of that woman that she, you know, compared to the Planet of the Apes, but it's that one I'm like, I don't know.
No.
But with this, it's like, this happened almost a decade ago. He's clearly not made comments and shit like this since then. And when it was brought up in the past, he apologized for it, and we let it go.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I believe it was brought up like in 2012 or something like that. Something like that. And it's just like, well, what else do you
want?
Yeah, like what would you need to try and differentiate these two things more? Like, you can't just say like, oh, because they both said some offensive shit on Twitter, they should be fired. It's like, yeah, I said some offensive shit a decade ago, and I've apologized for it, and ain't nobody tripping about it. and then I said some shit last night. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like they're not quite the same thing. But this has a lot more to do with politics.
I feel like, yeah.
And tribalism, way more so than it does anyone's quote unquote outrage about these tweets.
They're trying to set an example.
Yeah, it's this far right wing guy, Mike something or other. I don't even want to give him no fucking, media attention, so I won't even say the rest of his fucking name. But basically, him and James Gunn have gotten into like spats on Twitter in the past before, and because James Gunn is he's a left leaning, and he has very open political views and doesn't like President Trump, and has some pretty disparaging things to say about the office, this administration and the president and whatnot. And I guess in order to put him in his place, they released this in order to knock him down a peg, I guess.
Yeah.
Which they did a bang up job, because they got his ass fired within like 24 hours behind this shit. Like, to the point where Disney was just like, oh, this is indefensible and this, that, and the other. And it's like, yeah, y'all can make these petitions and stuff like that. But the stance that Disney's seeming to take, like, we don't want people thinking that we're playing favorites, and we, have to set an example, because people, all these, you got all these crazy people that think, everybody in Hollywood's a pedophile and rapist and shit anyway. So it's like, we don't need to feed into that anymore.
Yeah, he's done. At least with Disney.
Yeah. I mean, now, okay. Now, I guess to address the big elephant in the room, do I think he should have been fired for this? Yes. But 6 years ago when it actually happened, or, 9 years ago when it actually happened, to dig this up now, especially since he's apologized for things like this from before, is like, it's kind of like a slap in the face, because like Selma Blair and a few other people have made this point of, what's the point of people changing if all you're going to do is reach back to the past and be like, look at how horrible of a person you used to be. Exactly. It's like, well, yeah, sure, you could go to anyone's social media and go back 9 years, and I'm sure pull up some dumb shit that they've said, 9 hours ago, in some people's case 9 seconds, and find some reprehensible shit someone said. So, but then to go like, but you can't be that way anymore. You have to be a better person. They become a better person, and then it's like, well, you were still shitty from before, so fuck you.
Exactly. You did all that, but for what?
Right. It's like, so what incentive are you giving anyone to ever want to make a change in their life, when it's like, well, you're gonna shit on me no matter what I do? It's like I'm losing, coming both ways. Like, it don't matter. I think, though, that this is going to become more and more common as celebrities on the right and celebrities on the left are doing this kind of eye for eye shit because they don't like each other's politics.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I wanted that part in that movie, so now I'm gonna go dig up some dirt.
Right. Or anything petty is that. Sure, because I feel like this is going to be like the new swatting. And if, for those who may not know, swatting is basically some just terrible, terrible fucking thing that dumbass kids do and shit on to gamers that stream, where basically they get your personal information and they call the police and send them to your address while you're gaming, and it's just supposed to be a prank, to be funny. And there's been at least one instance now where someone has been killed by the police. What? Yeah, because they call and say like, oh, they got drugs in the house and guns, and they got some girl in there, they raping her. Like, they say all kind of crazy shit, and then they send the fucking police to your house.
That's horrible.
Yeah, and it's like, it's fucked up, man. Like, the whole thing is fucked up. So, but I feel like this is the Hollywood version of that. So instead of like, swatting somebody, it's like, oh, I'll dig up some shit from your past and get you fired and ruin your career. And I'm telling you, man, like, it's a slippery slope. Like, once you've taken the toothpaste out of the tube, you can't put it back in. Like, that's
like, are we in high school again?
Pretty damn much. Pretty damn much. The big question for me for Marvel now is what do they do now? Because James Gunn was not only writing and directing the Guardians movies, but he was going to take over as the architect of like the cosmic side of the MCU going forward. Like, so Guardians, Captain Marvel, anything that they decide to do in space and all that shit, that was going to be, you know, him
His territory,
planning that out and putting it together and making it all fit and make sense in what he's already established, Thor and all that kind of shit. Because I mean, look at the big jump they did between Thor Ragnarok, or I'm sorry, Thor: The Dark World and Thor Ragnarok.
there's a big difference.
Like they pretty much just became Guardians of the Galaxy in Ragnarok. So with the colors and the music and the whole thing. So he has a super big influence on the MCU right now. And it's not going to be easy to replace him.
No, it's going to be different.
Yeah,
See that, like, their style, or whoever they get in, to see their style versus James's style.
Yeah, I mean, because, just his comedic sensibilities and what he thinks is funny and shit like that. Like that whole Drax being invisible shit, like, that feels like a James Gunn joke, even though that was in Infinity War, but still. Or was that in Volume 2? I think it was Infinity War.
I don't remember.
I'm forgetting now. I've seen the Guardians too many times on top of each other. Now it's blending together. But yeah, like, I mean, I hope that he bounces back from this. You know, that this doesn't just completely kill his career indefinitely. But yeah, I guess moral to the story, kids.
Don't put anything out on the internet.
Yeah. And if I did not make this clear throughout this whole thing, I do not think that James Gunn is a pedophile. I don't think he meant any of that shit. I think he meant exactly what he said in the apology, that he was trying to get some shock and shit out of people and get his name out there. And I mean, look, anyone who has pursued some kind of fame and recognition is guilty of this to some degree or another. I mean, I know I've said some outlandish shit on this podcast. So, and I've said some shit on my social media, which I'm sure if this ever gets big, will come back to bite me in the ass later.
Oh, sure.
But, and I meant every goddamn word.
No,
Well, it depends on what it was. Maybe I did. I don't know. It depends. But yeah, like I do want to see him bounce back from this. I mean, do I think he's gonna get his job back?
Probably not.
Because I mean, they have to set a precedent.
Exactly.
You know, and if they go back on it, then
Roseanne gonna get her show back.
right, it's gonna be people petitioning to get her back, and there already was when they canceled it in the first place. Just like when Tim Allen's show got canceled and shit.
Hey there, Fox.
Yeah, well, Disney just bought them, so yeah, it's all coming back to me, bitch. It's all mine. That mouse got it all.
The mouse.
Yeah, but yeah, because I feel like they could plug in a new director, but who can replace him as far as designing the rest of the, you know, architecture of how the stories as a whole are going to go forward, you know, for the rest of the MCU. Like,
it'll be interesting.
It sucks. Yeah, it sucks. It really sucks. Like, I'm curious as to what's going to happen. And then again, you know, the precedents that this has set as well too, because it's like, now that people like this see that this works, they're going to do it more. I'm telling you, like, it's just going to keep happening. Like, I'm telling you, every week it's going to be a new celebrity, and they're going to be dumping some shit from their past out, trying to ruin their career and keep them from, you know, being relevant because they don't like their political views. I promise you, this is how it's going to... It's yeah, you let the cat out of the bag. Like, you can't go back. I'm telling you, it's going to be shit. You just wait for your heroes to just be torn down, kids.
There will be no more Hollywood.
You let these motherfuckers have their way, there won't be any more Hollywood, no.
I go in there and start taking them all out.
Right, hit squad on their ass. But, yeah. Before we go, just overall, what did you think of this Comic-Con compared to, like, say, last year when we saw the Infinity War trailer, or...
I feel like Glass was the only really good thing we got out of it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah.
They were sleeping on this one.
Yeah, I would say the biggest story out of Comic-Con weekend was James Gunn getting fired,
Yeah.
but, you know, as far as, like, shit that actually had to do with Comic-Con, yeah, I would say so, too. Glass is probably the biggest highlight. I'd say number 2 is probably Shazam.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and then everything else just kind of falls underneath that. Whatever. All right, guys, that is it for the show. Hey, guys, go check us out on Podbean. They are one of the best podcasting apps out there. Podbean has been a leader in the field of podcasting for over 10 years, developing innovative tools for podcasters and listeners. You can download it on the App Store or get it on Google Play. But remember, you can always find us at our home, onegiantleapforgeeks.libsyn.com, or on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, or anywhere else you get your podcast. Make sure to show us some love, so go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, rate, follow, review, and all that shit.
Got any questions you want us to answer on the show? Any comments, criticisms, or you just want to say hi? You can email us at officialoglfg@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks, and on Facebook, Reddit, Pinterest, Tumblr, and Instagram. Just search for One Giant Leap for Geeks. Bye!